Hello, this is Brennan Wilmington of the Left Turn Network, and we are back once again with another Lumen Stock Car Invitational race. This is race number 6 of season 3, and we are all the way out west. We stay out west after going to Willow Springs last week. This time, though, we're on an oval. We're on the 1.5 mile oval, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, just a drive up the road from Willow Springs. So, 35 cars here today at Las Vegas. This race produced a banger race last year. We're hoping for another one here today. This time I'm joined in the booth by Ludovic Charette. And Ludovic, uh, this is one of your first races that you've seen of this series, so this will definitely be a treat for you to be up in the booth here today. Uh,
Yes, it
it's going to be
will.
a two. It's going to be a two pit stop race here today. So, what strategy do you think will be the one that will cause the drivers to win today?
Well, there's two strategies. If you're at the front, I'd imagine pushing really hard at the beginning of the race, and then sort of coasting until the end. And if you're at the back, maybe profit from the fact that you're behind other cars, you're in the draft, save a bit of fuel, save a bit of tires, and try to push more towards the end of the race.
Definitely a couple different strategies here today. We saw the strategies go haywire towards the end of last season's race. Not sure if that'll happen here today, but what we do know is going to happen today is that the Pennzoil car is going to be starting on pole on the at the Pennzoil track. They got the Pennzoil yellow all over all the safer barriers. So that's a very interesting pole sitter right there. That is Shauna Everett in the number 57, scoring her first pole of the season. Alongside her, only 4/1000ths of a second back of her, Kate Summers very nearly claimed her third pole of the season. She's got a brand new paint scheme this week with the lift colors on the car. In row number 2, you got the 28 of Adrian Wheeler and the 65 car, season 1 champion Jack Gino. Then it's the 85 of Charlie McCarron, second place in points. Those Hondas have been very fast this season, and we see two of them starting in the top six. And alongside the 85 is Rebecca Raymond in the number 45 car with a very rare good qualifying run. In row number 4, it's the 36 of Ashley Blake, teammate to the 57, so good starts for them. And the 01 of George Bryan to her outside. Row number 5, it's the rookie sensation. Well, he would be the rookie sensation if he was off to a better start, but still, it's the Amateur Series champion from last year, Corbin Taps, alongside the 79 car of Kobe Hollenbeck, who lost in a photo finish to his teammate Laken Herndon, who you see a couple rows back last season. Then you got the 41 of Karina Willis Calloway and the 88 of Joe Smith in the next row. And it is Laken Herndon, the defending winner of this race, and Akia Tajima, who dominated the first 2/3 of the race last season, only to have his race ended by a couple of cars wrecking in front of him, and he piled in on the backstretch after one car tried to exit the pits and chopped off the other. It was an unfortunate accident, but he ended up winning the very next week at Evergreen. Then it's the 27 of Oscar Duval on the outside of the 6th car of Holly Martin. Then it's the 1 of Jacob Lopez, your defending champion, and the 77 of JT Boyd, far and away the best rookie so far this season. He won the season opener at Oregon. 55 car, Michael Harvin. His brother James Harvin was in the amateur race yesterday, and Harvin lost the race on the final lap after Mercedes Washington made a three-wide move around the outside. So yeah, we've had some crazy finishes here at Las Vegas. 52 car, Cheryl Simmons. Wendy's is on the 52 this week. It was on the 36 last week. Cheryl Simmons is 7th in points despite splitting her season between two different teams. One of them is a brand new team, and the other one is a very underfunded team. She was literally driving a zombie Dodge last week, and she finished third. So it's been incredible what Cheryl Simmons has done. This is really the first race in a while where she's had actual full funding. So we'll see what she can do here today. Behind them, it's the 70 of Andrew Kreider and the 25 of Luana Connie, a couple drivers trying to turn around their starts to the season. Lori Jackson in the 7 alongside the 81 of Latanya Gray, last week's winner at Willow Springs, after the top two cars ran out of fuel in front of her, and she coasted by to get the win. Ryan Silva in the 58, who had a very interesting bump practice. He had a couple of issues getting into the pit lane, but he still managed to make the race alongside the 3 car of Montana Sherman. Then it's the 2 car of Lance Holman making his first start this season in the Cup Series, and his first start in over a year. It was race number 5, season number 2 was his one other prior start in the same 2-car. That is the 18 of Zach Dearman, who won at South Boston. Then behind them, it's the 11 of Tim Berry and the 62 car of Vinnie Scholes, who almost won this race in season 1. She is still winless in 46 attempts in this series. The 32 of Rando Riff starts behind her, alongside the points leader, Darren Walker, starting deep in the field today. Be interesting to see what happens here to our points leader. Early in the race, he almost won 2 races in a row earlier, but he had a bit of problems at Willow Springs. We'll see if he can crawl back from the poor qualifying run. Tyler Landry in the 66, alongside Kevin DuPont in the 98. Rounding out the field is the 29 car of JB Chanot. And the pace car will roll off here today, here at Las Vegas. 67 laps, 2 pit stops. And Ladovic, who do you think is going to win here in the Sin City?
I'm gonna take a car that's starting right at the back. The 62 of Vinnie Scholes. I know she's fast from other series, and this can be quite a chaotic race. So we'll see what happens.
Starting 29th on the grid, she's got a long ways to go if she wants to claim her first career victory. But we know that she's a driver that can make her way up through the field. We've seen her do it before. It's Shauna Everett and Kate Summers leading the field to the green flag, and we are underway here in the Silver State. Coming out of turn number 4 to complete lap 1, it's Jack Gino underneath the 57 of Shauna Everett. Rebecca Raymond lurking in third. And it will be Everett leading the first lap here. But it's the 65 of Jack Gino, the Season 1 champion, giving her fits on the inside lane. And they're 3 wide throughout the pack. A couple of rows back, and that's kind of normal for the starts. They just got to make sure they can make it through these first few laps. Opening lap crashes, or rather, crashes within the first 10 laps are pretty common, so we just got to look out for that, especially off of turn number 4.
And the 57 leading Shauna Everett, and that was a pretty good start from her. I think like the 45 managed to get down to the inside lane. I think went to the outside at one point. She went, sorry, Rebecca. So,
3 wide behind them. The 92 got into the wall a little bit. She's going to fall back off the start, but they're still keeping it clean here as Joe Smith in the 88, who won this race in Season 1 in a very similar looking paint scheme. Oh boy. Oh, they almost went 4 wide there. They sorted it out. But I was going to say Joe Smith won this race in a similar looking paint scheme here in season number 1. Here's another charge from Jack Gino underneath the 57. He might get the lead this time by, and the 57 got a little squirrely there in the tri-oval, and that will give Jack Gino the lead.
Well, if the top 2 manages to keep their gap to the rest of the field, it's relatively okay that they keep battling, but right now it doesn't seem too good. Okay, he manages to go back to the inside. Well, she manages not to go back to the inside.
Oh man, that was close. Wow. Joe Smith and Corbin Taps got a little bit handsy there off of turn 4, but we are gonna stay green without any incident. How about Corbin Taps running up here in the top 5? I know it's just the start of the race, but ever since he got a top 5 in his debut at North Wilkesboro last year, it has been a miserable time in the Cup Series for Corbin Taps. Really looking for a good run here today. He has not finished in the top 10 since that race at North Wilkesboro, despite running, I think, about 10 or 11 races in that span. It's been a rough go of it for the Season 1 Amateur Series champion. He's top 3, though. Jack Gino, Shauna Everett, and Rebecca Raymond are pacing the field right now. Everett's looking for an opportunity to get underneath the 65. Here comes Raymond to try and make it 3 wide. Raymond does get under the 57, but the 65 was able to clear them both. They're battling for 4th behind, and they're starting to string out a little bit, at least in that top 10, but we still got some crazy racing going on at around the middle of the field, middle back of the field. But looks like they're keeping it clean so far, which is nice to see, especially after the last 2 times we went here at Las Vegas. We had early accidents.
And if for the moment it's pretty stable at the front, they keep battling, but it's not too bad. He manages to keep the same top 3, so that's great in terms of that. But now the 65 of Gino manages to pull out a bit. Yeah, they keep battling for second now. That's not a great idea, especially at the beginning of the race. They don't need to be that aggressive.
And the leader doesn't really run away at this racetrack. There is a pretty strong draft here. So usually even while they're battling, they can at least keep within striking distance of the leader. As Rebecca Raymond, who is another driver who needs a good run today, is going to move up to second. This car actually bought out the owner points of the 33 car of Double Eagle Racing. They didn't need to use them to get in today's race. They qualified in on speed, but they're now 16th in the owner points, despite the driver only being 34th in the driver points. So, that's beneficial to both teams. Double Eagle Racing getting some much-needed money. They're not going to be running the next 3 races. They weren't on their schedule anyway. And then Rebecca Raymond and Motor Racing Ventures gets to boost up the standings a little bit to help them get into more races. So win-win for both parties there. As she battles for second with the 57 of Shauna Everett. Corbin Tapp's going to try and make a move going into turn number 3. He's going to try and sneak into the podium, but Raymond is going to shut the door on him.
Corbin Taps has been fast entire race, and now he's in 4th. It seems like it's hard to pass at the front of the pack here, so... But, and the 57 is wide.
And that's something that happens a lot of the times, especially later in the runs. You'll see these cars go up on the outside lane, especially in turns 1 and 2. It's very strong up there. You can get a really good launch out of the corner and down the backstretch. We saw Mercedes Washington make the pass for the win up there yesterday in the amateur series on the final lap. In 1 and 2, you definitely want to be in the outside lane if you want the most momentum going down the straightaway. 3 and 4, not so much though. You'll definitely want to be on the inside in those 2. So it's an interesting racetrack because the preferred line is different between turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4. So we'll definitely see that play a factor in this race. And here comes the 45 of Raymond getting underneath the 57 of Shauna Everett. Corbin Taps right behind, trying to push the fellow Chevrolet past the 57 of Shauna Everett. We're 14 laps into the race. Shauna Everett led the first couple of laps, but ever since Jack Gino's got the lead, he's been able to hold it.
And now Corbin Taps maybe trying to go for second. Oh, actually fell back to 4th, and he has a lot of speed, but he just can't convert it into overtakes. It's pretty hard to watch. He's got stock in 4th.
Joe Smith in 5th, George Bryan in 6th, both having pretty good runs so far. Bryan tried to make a move on the 16 earlier. He got stuck on the outside in 3 and 4 though, and he had to fall back. Ashley Blake running up here as well. Good run for the Blake Everett Motorsports cars, at least the 2 full-time ones. They're in 3rd and 7th. Charlie McCarron trying to take advantage of Darren Walker starting far back. Side-by-side for 9th between the 92 of Kate Summers and the 41 of Karina Willis-Callaway. And that's another driver trying to gain some points here in the championship for sure. Pretty calm start to the race. Looks like the top 8 have gapped everybody else just a little bit, but not to the point where I don't think any of these guys will be able to catch up to these top 8. These are definitely the fastest cars, and here's your pick to win, Vinnie Scholes. And you know what? She's actually gained quite a few spots since the start of the race. 16th right now, and still looking for a spot on LaTanya Gray. She could be in the top 15 after only a quarter of the race, and that's exactly what she's going to do. So she's looking pretty fast so far.
Yeah, she's pretty fast.
Oh boy, for the lead. Here comes Rebecca Raymond underneath Jack Gino. Will she be able to keep the nose under in turn 3? No, she will not. But that was a good effort there by the 45, and again, The 88 and the 16 make some contact. Joe Smith actually had to slow up there in the corner, and now Corbin Taps has a big run, but he's got nowhere to go with it. He's still going to force it down there anyway, and now we're 3 wide going into turn 1. Oh, the 45 chased the 57 up the racetrack. Oh boy, things getting dicey here for second. And they're still side by side, the 57 of Sean Everett and the 45 of Raymond. They've been battling side by side for quite a while at this point. Raymond might finally make the pass here on the 57, and there she goes. Rebecca Raymond up to second. Boy, that got intense for a little bit up there at the front. Definitely not what you want to see early in the race in terms of trying to keep your car clean, but entertaining for the fans, that's for sure.
And if I'm Jack Gino, I'm feeling quite stressed after that because we lost a big chunk of time in a single lap to be side by side, and
Oh boy.
now the 44. I think Gino may have just burned through his tire very quickly.
That is possible. Raymond is catching up to him. We'll see if Rebecca Raymond has anything for this 65. Try and make a pass on that Honda.
He led basically the entirety of this race, so yeah.
That's a good corner. Here she comes. That was a really good turn, too. She managed that middle lane perfectly, and here she comes, Rebecca Raymond. Oh, man, the 88 really checked up there in the corner. It almost looked like he was going into the pits there for a second. Holy crap, look at the outside lane for the 65. Jack Gino, he is out of here. I cannot believe that he got that launch out of turn number 4. That was that was an incredible run for the 65. That'll allow him to keep the lead.
Well, it seems like everybody on the inside line is checked up a little bit.
Might have been a checkup by the 45. We saw the 88 check up, and I was focused on him. But, you know, it might have been a checkup here. And now everybody's trying to regroup themselves. And they're starting to get a run on the 65 again, all in a line. So this could be deadly for the 65. If he ends up letting one of them under, it could let everybody go underneath, and he'll get freight trained. But, oh boy, 16 up the racetrack. Corbin Taps. And that 88's really trying to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. I haven't really seen anybody else drive the track like that. Oh boy, they're 3 wide. Here comes Charlie McCarran. She says, hello, I'm coming through. She's going to get a 2 for 1 in turns 3 and 4 if she can hold off Taps down the front stretch. We're seeing some pretty good moves, pretty bold moves here at the front of the pack. But we should expect to see pit stops here very soon. Checking the tire fall off. It's already over a second for the leader. So definitely, I'd say within the next 5 laps, we're going to see pit stops either green or under caution, because the 55 almost got turned down the backstretch, and that would have been a caution for sure. But again, they keep it together, and they've done a good job of keeping it together, despite, you know, we had a few hairy moments already in this race, but for all things considered, they've kept it clean today, and that's something you like to see, definitely, especially after the chaos that was Willow Springs last week.
And for the battles were lived a little, well, for the position maybe outside of the top 10 or around the top 10, they've closed the gap. There was a pretty big gap at one point in the race, and now it's been completely closed off. These guys are basically in a line from first up to last. Well, maybe not last, but almost.
You can see that back here. Michael Harvin, Akia Tajima, Kate Summers, all around that spot. Summers in the 10th position. And here you see the battle for second continuing. They're really fighting each other really hard for second. We've only really seen the 45 make a run at the 65, though. And Sean Everett made a run at him early in the race, but really, these guys have been more focused on battling each other for second rather than trying to catch Jack Gino, and that's allowed him to just kind of coast out here in front. Everett's up to second now. Joe Smith's third. Raymond and McCarran round out the top 5. And that's definitely a problem for the guys trying to catch up to the leaders. And, ooh, not a good day for McPicky Motorsports, at least not for Tyler Landry and Tim Berry, the two higher-up McPicky Motorsports drivers in points there, last and second to last. The McPicky Motorsports drivers that have been struggling, though, they're having solid runs. The 6 car of Holly Martin, you see her up in the 18th position. Not great, but not terrible. And then we saw Corbin Taps, of course, he's been in the top 10 all race long. So, Definitely not a good day for McPicky Motorsports outside of the 16 right now. Definitely going to look to make some adjustments here on this set of pit stops, which should be coming up very soon. And even with all that tire wear, they're still battling each other for third here. Rebecca Raymond and Joe Smith. This is probably really fun for the drivers, though. Constantly swapping the positions back and forth. It's especially nice for Jack Gino, though, because he doesn't really have to worry about any charges coming from behind.
And honestly, I think at this point, this race will probably be between Raymond, Gino, and who's the car? I forgot. I forgot the other
That is Joe
car.
Smith in the 88. Here we go.
They pitting.
Everett and Gino are pitting. Joe Smith staying out an extra lap. And the 62 looked like she was trying to pit, but she missed the pit lane, and she has to go all the way back around, and that is a huge blunder for Vinnie Scholes. Hey, you know what? At least she didn't try to make it into the pit lane anyway. That's something we saw a couple times in bump practice. So thankfully, she was smart enough to realize, man, I'm not going to make it. But only a few cars coming in the pits this time, trying an undercut strategy. We saw the top two go in there. Joe Smith's going to get a bonus point for lap led, and now here we go. George Bryan with a good good entry rather, onto the pit lane. He's going to get around the 88 before they even make their pit stops. But they definitely want to nail these pit stops for sure. Most of the field in this time by. We still have a couple stragglers, Montana Sherman and Vinnie Scholes. That's interesting, because I thought she was trying to come in the first time. But she stayed out another lap. So maybe the crew chief changed her mind. Maybe the crew chief wanted her to come in on lap 27 and then changed her mind and wanted her to come in 2 laps later, really late. But here they come. Here comes the rest of the field. A lot of green cars going into the pits here. There you see Gino already out of the pits. And we'll have to watch these guys exiting the pits right now to see where they come out relative to Gino. George Bryan in the 01 leading this group. And Gino's going to sail by on the banking. He is gone. Look at the gap he has over everybody else. Corbin Taps is going to move up to second. And it's going to be a battle for third between the 01, 88, and 57. Ooh, bit of a close moment there. The 45, Rebecca Raymond, not a good pit stop. She finds herself just on the edge of the top 10 instead of up near the leaders where she was before. JT Boyd is going to lead a lap. And I believe he led that lap on the pit lane because he's exiting the pits right now. So it will cycle back around to the 65 of Jack Gino this time by, and we'll get to see what kind of lead he has on the field.
If these guys can bunch together and stop battling each other for no reason, Gino's not in a great position right now because he came in early and he's not being helped by anyone. So, but that's a pretty big hit.
He's all by himself, and we saw this in the amateur race too. I think it was Jean-Martin Boucher who actually had a really good pit stop, but got way out there, and second through fourth kind of grouped up, or no, I think it was Rhea Whitcomb actually that had a big, no, it was Boucher. Whitcomb led most of the early portion. Boucher had a really good pit stop, and then they ended up all closing in on Boucher, and they all ended up passing him, so that might be something that we're going to see here. He's got a 1 second lead, but now Taps has help from George Bryan. Oh, maybe not help. Bryan's trying to pass him for second. We got the 57 of Everett, and then we got side-by-side battle between Joe Smith and Andrew Kreider. Nice to see Kreider up here after the struggle to the season he's had. And he's had speed, he's just not very much luck, and that's been the case for a lot of guys this season. We've seen a lot of the drivers that were consistently out front in the first few races just always had something go wrong. And here we go. They're closing in on the 65. We might have a battle for the lead here very soon.
I've just noticed the 45 with a very bad pit stop.
Yeah, I mentioned it at the right after pit stop. She fell all the way down to 9th, so that's not ideal for her. Here we go. Maybe battle for the lead here. The 65 tried to block George Bryan, but Bryan got the nose underneath. But Gino's going to get the run out of the corner, and now an opportunity opens up for Corbin Taps to maybe take second back away from the 01 again. But again, he gets blocked. These guys doing a good job getting themselves clear of the traffic and defending their position. And that's definitely something to watch throughout this race. As Gino leads another lap, he's definitely been the dominant car of the day, but he has by no means won this. He's under some heavy pressure. Here comes Brian trying the Mercedes Washington move around the outside in turn two. He might get it. Taps is trying to make it three wide, and look at that. There goes George Bryan to the lead around the outside off of turn number two.
And that strategy for Gino did not work. His pit stop was just too good, and it was they had already too much of an advance, and now they almost went three wide at least. Wow.
41, Karina Willis Calloway in the 70 of Andrew Kreider had a bit of a moment there. Still a caution-free race though, and look at how many cars are chasing the leader. This is incredible. All the way back to LaTanya Gray in 11th place. Any one of these 11 cars could still win this race. Charlie McCarron back there in 12th. Then it's Zach Dearman. Darren Walker, he's had a pretty good recovery after the not-so-good qualifying run. But 11 cars under blanket for the lead here today, and it's George Bryan in the 01, one of the independent drivers out here. Definitely looking for a good run here today. A win would do wonders for this race team. Gino and Kreider going to second and third. Kreider, another independent driver. So, it's good to see the single car owner-driver operations. Two of them up here in the top three. They're running pretty well here today.
And actually, Gino might not be in that bad of a situation because
that was close between Everett and Joe Smith. I hate to cut you off there, but that was a very hairy moment there in turn two. That was oh boy, we're seeing a lot of those here in this pack. Here comes the 70 for second, and we're kind of seeing it again. The leader kind of just coasting out there while they battle for second. Karina Willis Calloway up to third. She has not won since Daytona of season one, so she's riding a pretty long winless drought. This would be a good place to break a winless drought. That's all I'll say about that.
And if they keep battling, they'll just I mean, it's not the greatest in terms of conservation, continuing to battle like that. If you get pushed to the outside, it's pretty bad. And they're catching the 01 again. And I don't know if they're gonna keep battling for second and not the first place position until the pit stops, but which wouldn't be a bad strategy in any way. But and they try to go three wide there, the 99 of Tajima almost, well, he peeked to the inside.
Kid Tajima looking for some redemption. Last season at this race looked like he was going to win it. And we mentioned in the pre-race show, he had a bit of an incident with a couple of cars in front of him, a couple of lap cars coming out of the pits. He did win the very next week, but maybe looking for some redemption in this very race 1 year later. He led 42 of the 67 laps and did not go to victory lane. And I mean, last week we saw Tyler Landry lead 21 of the 25 laps and not go to victory lane. So leading the most laps definitely doesn't mean you win the race. And so far, the driver who's led the most laps is the 65 of Gino, but he's back in 7th. He is still in this pack, though, so he's still got a shot. I think as long as you're in this lead group and it stays green, you'll definitely have a chance. Even these guys back here, like LaTanya Gray and Kate Summers, I think will definitely have a shot at this if they play their cards right. They're still battling for second. Andrew Kreider, Karina Willis Calloway was in second for a little bit, but now she's going to fall back down to third as Andrew Kreider moves up to second.
And we're starting to see those guys were a bit at the front at the beginning of the race, rise to the front again. 65, he's not doing too bad, and he's gaining positions now on the 16. Well, the 16 also at the front, he's gaining some positions. So yeah, I think the pit stop shake the things over for a couple of laps, but maybe we'll start to see more dominant cars. Well, at least the cars that were more dominant in the first part of the race. But now we're seeing the 70 of Andrew Kreider trying for first place.
Oh, he's making the move. Here he comes. Can he get underneath the 0-1 and make the move down the front stretch? I think Brian got a little bit of a better run off the corner, and that'll keep him in front. But Kreider now challenging Brian. It's a battle of the owner drivers up here in the top two. If they get into a battle with themselves, don't count out the 41 or the 45 or the 16 or really any of these guys. Again, back to the 92. I think any of these guys have a chance. Darren Walker's trying to catch this pack all by himself. He's up to 12. And you know, this is what championship contenders do. Even when they get drawn a bad hand, they make the most of it. Oh boy, here we go for the lead, the 70, and he's got some help this time. He's got the 41 and 45 behind. And they're going to go 3 wide for second. That'll help Kreider a little bit more. Move Andrew Kreider in the 70 to the race lead. And this is a driver trying to go for his first career win with a crossover down the backstretch. Here comes Brian. He's got the help now, and he's got the preferred lane as well on the inside, but not if he checks up like that. That's going to allow the 70 to get in front once again, and Andrew Kreider is going to keep the lead. He takes it away from Brian.
And maybe now that they're in a single line, they should probably keep being a single line. It's battling for the lead like that. It's not gonna help you. It's really not. Oof. And now the 0-1 checked up a bit.
Good launch off the corner for the 70. Andrew Kreider, again, going for his first career win. Would not be the first win for this team. Simon Lawrenson, a amateur series driver, won for them back in Talladega last season, but this would be the first win for the 70 car and for Andrew Kreider. So this would be a big win for them, especially after the terrible start that he's had this season. He wasn't even in the race last week because he didn't qualify. Back here in fourth, Rebecca Raymond, Corbin Taps side by side. Again, there's a lot of these guys up here that desperately needed a good run. And they're all in contention to win this race. We should see the second round of pit stops happening in about 5 laps. Again, we're seeing that tire fall off. It's over a second, so it's only a matter of time now as the 41 is looking on the 0-1, but the 0-1's looking on the 70. 2 rows of side-by-side going through turn number 4 as Raymond gets a good run as well. Kreider looking for that launch off the corner again, but Brian's going to stay with him this time, but Kreider's going to carry that momentum all the way down the tri-oval. Oh no, he tried to cut him off. He was still there. He was not clear. That was very dangerous by Andrew Kreider. They're still side by side going down the backstretch. And this is some crazy racing here for the lead late in the going, and move George Bryan back out in front. He's going to slide up the track to try and take away the 70's run, but here comes the 70 trying to cross them under on the front stretch. This is some incredible racing here. Raymond and Callaway third and fourth, they're battling for position as well. Kreider trying to strike back in turns 1 and 2. Bryan's trying to get that run out of the corner, and it looks like he's going to get there. And George Bryan will take the lead back from Andrew Kreider.
And considering what's at stake for these one-car teams, it's... Yeah, I mean, the Kreider going and blocking like that, it's very dirty and it's probably very stressful for those guys, but he managed to get first Bryan again. Yeah, it's... I don't quite understand why they're so aggressive so early before the end of the last run of pit stops.
Oh boy, here we go again. He got the crossover under the 0-1. And I wouldn't call that block dirty. I think he's just doing what he needs to do here. Here we go. Another battle here for the 70. He checked up in the middle of the corner, though. Here comes Bryan, and he's going to maintain the lead after a charge from Kreider. Kreider almost got the lead back there, but he just did not. He had to check up in the middle of the corner. He lost his momentum. And now we're going to see the strategy play out here very soon. When do you want to pit here in the final 15 laps? Raymond is going to move up to second, actually. That's 70. That checkup really killed his momentum. He even lost second. And here comes the 45 already trying to strike for the lead. Will we see anybody pit here on lap 54? It doesn't look like it. So everybody's still on the racetrack. And again, Rebecca Raymond, that's another driver with a lot at stake. She's been struggling for the past season and the first 5 races of this season. This could definitely be a big win for her. It would be her second career win. if she could pull it off. But I think it's all going to come down to the pit stops here. Who is best getting on and off pit road, and whose crew chief is best at servicing the car, or rather, whose pit crew is best at servicing the car. Here comes the 45, looking underneath of the 01. Will we see a lead change here? I don't think so. I think the 01's going to get that run out of the corner. But here we go. Pit stop's going to start very soon, and oh, by the way, Cheryl Simmons not having a great run here today. I expected a little more from her this week. Here we go. Pit stop starting. Rebecca Raymond with a bit sketch entrance into the pit lane, but she gets in no problem. And here's your first group, and a lot of these guys are guys that undercutted the first time as well. So we're just trying to see that undercut strategy work out. Brian led that last lap. We see the 92, 41, 65, 45, and I think I saw, yes, Kreider also came in this lap. So we'll see how this strategy works out. Brian's going to come in the next lap. Vinny Scholes is going to try and stretch it a little longer. So is the 3 of Montana Sherman, and those are drivers that stretched it a little longer last time as well. The 3, the 98, the 77, and the 62 is going to get a lap-led bonus. Oh, look at that launch out of the pit lane by the 65. The 45 hesitated a little bit getting on the gas, and look at that. That could be the pivotal move of the race here, but we'll have to see how the second group cycles before we know that for sure. Simmons is coming out of the pits as well. She's in the back of the field. Brian is leaving the pits. Tajima is behind him. And there you see in the background the 65 of Jack Gino already up at full speed. Brian now accelerating away from the pits. Where will he come out relative to the 65? Oh boy, here we go. Down the back stretch, it's gonna be close. But Jack Gino's at full speed and George Bryan isn't. He's going to get to the outside and he's going to make the pass on the 01 of George Bryan and move Jack Gino back out in front. Raymond going to try and take second. And now we've got a very short sprint to the end from here.
That 65 pit crew, wow. Both times they did an incredible pit stop. And the 01's great too, especially for a independent team. It's wow, these pit crew are very quick, or it's everyone else that's no, I don't know, but wow. The 45 now as well, up second.
Becca Raymond, and I want to point out, remember the last time the 65 had a banger pit stop? They ended up catching him pretty fast, and they're going to start to catch him here. This race is not over by any means. We got 8 laps to go. Raymond has a run on him. Brian's closing in. Callaway's closing in. Oh boy, here we go. They're going to try and go 3 wide. The 01 couldn't peek the nose under, but Raymond could. Here we go. We're battling for the lead once again here at Las Vegas. Gino trying to make the outside work. Raymond staying to the inside. Gino's got a little bit more momentum. Here comes Brian to try and make it 3 wide. And Gino on the outside lane trying to get the momentum. He's going to stay in front. But we've got 5 cars right under a blanket. Any one of them could win the race here today. 3 wide for third now. Brian up the middle. He's going to maintain that position. And now he's going to try and go after the 45 of Raymond for second place.
They need to be cautious. Oh, and is the lap car going to be caught, or is it
Holly Martin? I don't think she'll play a factor. She is up to speed. She's just,
okay.
You know, she's not having the best of races. She's not damaged or anything. So I don't think she'll be a problem for these guys. Oh boy, here we go. Rebecca Raymond closing back in on the 65 of Jack Gino. 5 laps to go here at Las Vegas. The 01's got to run as well. George Bryan. The 70 and the 41 are lurking in the wings, and don't look now. Akia Tajima and Latanya Gray both trying to make a last-ditch effort to try and get involved in this finish. Raymond shuts the door down there on the 01, checks up in the corner. That's what Jack Gino wanted to see. And the driver that dominated the first segment of the race, and it fell back in the second segment. But that early pitting strategy has definitely helped him out here in this race. We've got 4 laps to go. He's got about a 4/10 of a second lead. They're side by side for second. Here comes Brian underneath Raymond. And they can't be battling side by side for very long if they want to prevent this 65 from winning, because one of them's going to have to make a charge at him eventually. But they're still going to go side by side off of turn number 4. Coming to 3 laps to go.
And I mean, there's still 3 laps to go, so they can battle for maybe a lap, and but that's it. If they continue to stay side by side for more than that, it's the 65's win to race to lose.
Brian was able to get in front of the 45 rather. Now they're battling side by side for third. Oh, big run out of the corner for Brian. Is he going to be able to make the move? He's going to peek to the inside, and he's going to get there. He uses the apron to get down underneath the 65. 2 laps to go. Brian's going to send it in the corner. Gino's going to try and roll the corner on exit. They're side by side out of turn number 2. Gino's got a little bit more momentum, but if Brian can hang with him into turn 3, he'll have a shot. But Gino's able to clear him going into the corner. I'm not so sure if Brian's done yet, though. He might have one more chance. Coming out of turn number 4, they'll take the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Las Vegas. Jack Gino out in front. George Bryan trying to run him down. Here they come through turns 1 and 2. Pretty good corner there for Gino. Brian is closing, but I'm not sure unless he makes a move here in turn 3. Oh, he is going to try and make a move in turn 3. He wasn't quite close enough. And now, coming out of turn number 4, Brian with one last charge. Can he get to the 65? He'll get to the bumper. He won't get by him. Jack Gino is going to win here at Las Vegas. And that's the 4th career win for Jack Gino. And a good drive there by Diamond Motorsports. He was the dominant car. He led the most laps. George Bryan comes home 2nd. Rebecca Raymond 3rd. Andrew Kreider and Karina Willis-Callaway round out the top 5. And there you see the rest of the top 10. Your points leader, Darren Walker, finishes 8th. 2nd in points, Charlie McCarron finishes 10th. So another good day for Honda. 3 of them finished top 10, and 1 of them is going to go to victory lane. That was a great drive there by Gino. That was a great strategy there by the Diamond Motorsports crew, and they executed everything just about perfectly in this race.
Yes, wow. The 65, it's maybe with the 45, it's the only car that was there from the start to finish, and even better than the 45. I don't think there was any amount of times where he wasn't in the top 10, except for the pit stops. But yeah, he entirely deserves this win.
Absolutely. We're going to save the results here. And yeah, good win there for Jack Gino and Diamond Motorsports. They definitely needed that after a rough start to the season. 4th career win for Jack Gino. That will tie him with Jacob Lopez for the most wins in series history. So the race to get to 5 wins is just heated up. Gino finishing in 1st today. Brian, Raymond, Kreider, Callaway. That's going to be huge for the 41 in points, especially since she DNQ'd a race earlier. But that'll definitely make up for it, a 5th place finish. Latanya Gray, Akia Tajima, Corbin Taps. You know, it's been a struggle for him in the Cup Series so far this season, but he finally gets a good finish. He gets 9th here today. Kate Summers with a good finish. Zach Dearman with a good finish. Vinnie Scholes, your pick to win. She finished 14th, so she didn't win, but she didn't have a bad day either. And looking at the bottom of the grid, everybody finishes, and there were no cautions in this race whatsoever, so that's going to make editing this race very easy. In the back of the field, Jacob Lopez, Kobe Hollenbeck, Oscar Duvall, Cheryl Simmons, Holly Martin didn't have the greatest days. Ashley Blake, who was up there at the start of the race, did not have a good finish here today, finishing in 30th. So that's interesting. Something apparently must have gone very wrong on the adjustments for that car. But you see Lopez and Hollenbeck down there. Like, I mentioned Lopez a lot, that he had a lot of race-winning speed in the first 5 races, just not the luck. This race, he was just invisible. He didn't have the speed or the luck today. And that's surprising to see that happening to the defending champ. Kobe Hollenbeck was a championship contender last year. He's struggling as well. last year's winner, Lakin Hearn, did 28. So, yeah, definitely some notable guys did not finish very well today, did not run very well. But yeah, that was a very fun race here at Las Vegas. Caution free, no instance. Everybody finishes on the lead lap. And I think even at Oregon, not everybody finished that race. The six car retired because of a tire failure. So this might be the first race where everybody finished this season. So that's definitely very interesting. Well, that's going to wrap things up here for today. We're going to be back next week at the Michigan International Speedway. So that's going to be a really fun race, that's for sure. And thank you, Ladovic, for kind of joining in last minute and filling in for the co-com spot. And what
Uh,
did you think of today's race?
Very interesting. It's fun to have a Las Vegas race with no crashes, no anything like that. But an actual race with there was a lot of battle. Not so much for first place, but for second place, we had a great battle all race long. First place at the end, yes, uh, yes. So it's very interesting, and in the end, it was completely entertaining.
Yeah, we did have those battles for the lead. There was a constant, sorry, there was a constant battle for the second place throughout the entire race, but there were still some moments where he had some incredible racing for the lead. This
Yeah.
track's a pretty good racetrack. This is a good I&I. Echo set this up for me, so this is a good track to have on the schedule. But yeah, next week we're gonna be at Michigan. That's just a classic track. I always love racing at Michigan. It always produces some incredible racing, and yeah, we're gonna see what happens next week. So thank you guys for tuning in for this race. And
No
on
problem.
behalf of Ladovic and myself, this is Brandon Wilmington of the Left Turn Network signing out.